Professor of Political Science at the University of Texas. Good morning, Professor. Good morning.
Good morning. I am amazed at how you can take the temperature in Utica. It's amazing. We have a temperature here now about 14, 15 degrees above zero, and everybody's come to a halt.
Is it that cold in Texas right now?
I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's going to be 7 or 8 tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Low, but right now it's about 17, 18 degrees.
Well, just to let you know, 17, 18, it was supposed to get up to into that range yesterday. It didn't. We didn't barely get out of single digits. It was like 9, 10 degrees all day yesterday. And then, but today we're going to be up near 30 degrees. So if you want some warmth, come on up here.
You're going to be warmer than we are.
Yeah, isn't that
wow.
crazy?
Who'd have thought?
Global cooling. Is that what we call it? Global cooling. All right, Professor. So from the asshole comment that did or didn't get made to what we're talking about with DACA, and of course the judge's ruling, which is blocking much of what the president wants to do. Some are saying that maybe the courts are going a little too far here. What do you think?
I would agree. I thought that when a lone federal district judge in Hawaii, several of them, actually ruled against President Trump's travel ban of some months ago. And this is a lone federal judge, unelected, and rules for the entire country. I think I've been telling my students wrong for many years. I've used to tell them a federal district judge only has jurisdiction within that district. Well, now a California judge does the same thing in regard to DACA. A lone, unelected federal judge in California, I think the San Francisco area, no, I will not make any comments about that.
Okay.
Ruled the same way for the entire nation. The federal district judges, I've always believed, only have jurisdiction within their district, and they've become very political. The arguments that they make should be only constitutional and statutory, and they mention those things, but then they go off into other territory. For example, the travel ban, this federal judge in Hawaii started talking about how it's going to interrupt people's vacations, how families are going to be split apart because they can't visit their families if the travel ban was to hold. And this judge on DACA ruled about the same way. It's going to mess up families and everything. The question should only be constitutional and statutory, not whether it's good or bad social policy.
Right.
Legislature.
That's a very interesting. That's an interesting point, because what we're talking about is there. I mean, you can the entire country could agree that what the president is trying to do is not nice policy.
Right.
Could be even considered mean. Could be un-American. But as long as it's within the boundaries of the law.
Absolutely.
And within the boundaries of the Constitution, that should be what dictates, but it doesn't seem to be the case these days.
I always tell my students, just because it sounds nice does not mean it's constitutional.
Right.
A lot of people say, let's do this. A lot of my students say, but it should be the right thing to do to take care of these people that were brought in under DACA. Well, it may be the right thing. The question is it constitutional? Is it statutory? And does the president have the authority to overturn certain aspects of it? Those are the only questions that should be asked. But now I think our federal courts have become so politicized in recent years. It goes all the way back many years when a justice appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court did not get his name on the Supreme Court. His name was Robert Bork, B-O-R-K. And it was the Congress that made it so political that Senate Judiciary Committee at that time, run by Senator Teddy Kennedy and Joe Biden, made that nomination so political, and everything from that point on has become hyper-politicized.
Yeah. Do you wonder if, because it just seems so convenient that the president uses the asshole comment. I mean, we're pretty sure that's what was said, or at least something was said to inspire Lindsey Graham to speak up. And he's certainly not saying that what Durbin is saying is incorrect. But despite all of that, sometimes I kind of wonder, does the president just do this to create a firestorm that gets people looking in another direction? Because it just was very convenient that this comment was made on the weekend leading up to Martin Luther King Day.
I don't think it was planned in order to distract or anything. Some people might believe that. This is just a language that many politicians use. I've been around politicians most of my life at the state level and occasionally at the federal level. And in private, they talk this way all the time.
Right.
The question is it private and this was public? Also, I think that United States senators like Dick Durbin, they have a responsibility too. And you don't say everything that went on at those private meetings.
Right, right.
And he did. And so that's a bad thing to start. Now everybody starts spilling the beans. We have enough leakages already in the White House. Now we're going to actually start talking about the actual words that they used. If we talk about words, look at Lyndon Johnson or Richard Nixon.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, though, in fairness, Richard Nixon and Lyndon Johnson, well, Richard Nixon didn't know enough to not record all of it. But Johnson, too, all of his stuff was recorded as well, and we've heard that. But they were all smart enough, and I'm not trying to say the president's not smart enough, but they were smart enough to know who was in the room when they said that stuff. To say stuff in front of political opponents is just you can't be surprised when it gets out.
When he saw Senator Durbin in the room, he should have known.
Absolutely,
trouble is over there.
Right.
Although some Republican senators, Senators Perdue and not Lindsey Graham, but another U.S. Senator, Tom Cotton of Arkansas, are saying they were within just a couple of inches away from the president, and he did not say that.
Yeah, I don't think we're buying that. I'm not buying that. I mean, listen, for Lindsey Graham to come out, who's been friendly with the president, by the way, Lindsey Graham has been a good ally of the president in the last 3 or 4 months. But for Lindsey Graham to come out the way he has, to me, that adds. I wouldn't trust just Durbin, but adding Graham into, I kind of believe something was said.
Yes, on Fox television this morning or last night, they actually showed a clip of Senator Graham actually saying similar things at a
I know, yeah. He
so
called them hellholes, right? Is
right.
What he said, yeah.
That's right. Not quite as bad.
Not quite as bad, and let's be fair, he's not the president of the United States.
Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to know. I think there's enough blame to go all the way around the table. You know, I think that, I hear things every day. You hear things every day. It's not like the president, of course. I understand that. But sometimes, leave it alone.
Right.
Or going to roil things.
Yeah. And then I just became obsessed. The broadcasters, especially in the cable news, especially on CNN, just became obsessed with saying it. It's like they were kids in a candy store.
I hear my students, and they're good people, outside the classroom talking on their phones. I hear this kind of talk every single minute. It's just part of their conversation. I don't like it. I'm sort of a prude in regard to that.
Right.
And it bothers me. I almost want to stop and say, can't you use a little bit of a different language? But they don't know what I'm talking about. They're so used to these words becoming part of their vocabulary.
I do have to say, just an interesting observation. I'd like your take. Over the last few weeks, I've been a bit under the weather, and I watched the Roosevelt documentary, which is long, by the way, but really interesting. And here at that time, the media had such respect for the presidency that they would not show pictures of the president in a wheelchair.
Right.
And if one did, Secret Service come up, rip the camera out of their hands, and throw the camera on the ground.
Yeah.
But then last night I saw the movie. I saw the movie Post, where the government.
Very different day and age then.
It was a very different time. But I want you to compare the Roosevelt years. But then comes along Nixon and Johnson and all of them with the movie Post and the right for the media, for newspapers to print something that the government didn't want printed. There's one hand where there should be a respect, and on the other hand, where it seems like the media should have the right to bring stuff up. But there needs to be a balance. Your take on that?
I was around the state legislature of Oklahoma many, many, many years ago as an intern, and I was with many legislators, and the things they did and things they said, and guess who was there in the room? The media.
Yeah.
Media never said anything. In fact, they were participants in what was going on.
Right.
Their language, their attitude. It was a very different day and age.
And then, of course, have you seen the movie Post as of yet?
I I've not. Huh?
It is worth. It's a real interesting movie on the free speech and the freedom of press. It's really quite interesting. So, all right. As always, we like having you on, Professor, and I thank you for giving us your time. All right.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and you have a magnificent university in Utica.
Well, thank you so much. And I got to tell you, you have a really bad thermometer in Texas right now because it's going to be colder there than it is here. I love it. All right. Thanks so much.
It's not quite as cold, but it's getting there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Professor. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir.